Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to crush rounds 6, 7, and 8 of your draft. But before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know, if you haven't heard already, I launched a Patreon for this channel. Please do click the link below and join my Patreon. This is going to be tremendously helpful for the fantasy football community, for the Crushing Fantasy Football community. On there, I've got 150, my top 150 overall PPR rankings for redraft formats. And I'm going to be updating this constantly throughout the season and off season. I've got a list of my elite sleepers for the season broken down into rankings and tiers. We've got community voting polls to vote on tough decisions, whether it be draft decisions or lineup decisions. I've got all kinds of things on there like, dynasty buy lows and sell highs. I've got a ton of tremendously helpful tools. I'm going to be giving you guys my weekly rankings throughout the season, and it's going to be updated at the beginning of every week. This is going to help you crush your redraft leagues in season this coming year. Bottom line is, it is tremendously helpful. Click the link below, join the Patreon, help grow the community, and help yourself kind of take that next step in your fantasy football career and become better at playing fantasy football. It's a very cheap monthly price, and it's going to win you money this year, I can almost guarantee you. So I am going to get right into my round 6, and that is going to be, look, we are going to need to go ahead and start looking for dual threat quarterbacks here. Now, if you have not drafted a quarterback yet, I think it's time to really kind of start considering the position. Guys like Justin Herbert and Justin Fields, a lot of times will still be available in round 6. I mean, look, we want to target quarterbacks here that have dual threat abilities, right? So if they don't have dual threat abilities, we really don't want to draft them in round 6. Okay, so guys like Justin Herbert and Justin Fields obviously have the combination of an incredibly strong arm, good wheels, good body size, and the ability to run the ball. So they're the perfect quarterbacks to look for in round 6. In fact, they're really the only two quarterbacks I would target in round 6. So Justin Herbert and Justin Fields are really good options here if you haven't drafted a quarterback yet. Next on my list is in round 6, guys, I want you guys to take a shot on bounceback players, players that I have very good reason to believe are going to bounce back this season. Now, these players, the best thing about them is that they're coming off a bust year. So their ADP is, not as high as it should be, right? Guys like Kyle Pitts, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Michael Pittman Jr., Jerry Jeudy, all these guys were a bust last season. So baked into their value is the fact that they busted last year. And so, their ADP is pretty low, right? So all these players, what they have in common is, some of them are the number one wide receiver in their offense, guys like Jerry Jeudy and Michael Pittman Jr. DeAndre Swift is the number one running back in his backfield. Kyle Pitts has elite upside as a tight end. David Montgomery has high touchdown upside going into the season, playing in the Lions offense, going to be the goal line back. All these guys have tremendously high fantasy upside, and just because they busted last year, their ADP is very low. So take a shot on bounce back players in round 6. These players are slipping to round 6 just because they busted last season. But as we know, every year in fantasy is different, and I have very good reason to believe that all these guys are about to go off. Next, round 7. Moving on to round 7. In round 7, I really want you guys to target players that are either in a suspect offense or we're unsure about their role. But what they have to have is talent. In round 7, we are targeting talent, but talent with players that are, maybe second fiddle in their offense, or we don't know what their role is in their offense, or we're not sure about their offense as a whole. That's why these players that I'm about to name are slipping to round 7. They're way too talented to be going this late in the draft, but because of the fact that we're either unsure about their role in their offense or we're unsure about their offense as a whole, they're slipping to a later point in the draft. These players include Mike Evans, Brian Robinson Jr., Khalil Herbert, and Darren Waller. So these guys, they're all tremendously talented guys with massive upside this season due to their ridiculous talent level, but either we're not sure what their role in their offense is, or, there's just some other sort of question mark. That's why they're going as late as round 7. But go ahead and just start targeting pure talent in round 7, because you're not really going to get guys that have the number one role in their offense, whether that be a wide receiver or a running back in round 7. So in this round of the draft, we're really just going to want to target talent, because at the end of the day, if you target talent, that player is still going to have a monster ceiling and the potential to break out. So these are the guys that you want to target in round 7. And if you have not drafted a quarterback yet, I think it's a really good time to just go ahead and let's draft a quarterback, okay? Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson are going to be by far and away the best quarterback options that are still on the board at this point. And after this, the quarterback position gets very slim. So in past years, I've been telling people to, wait till like round 9 to grab a quarterback. The position doesn't matter. But look, the position does matter a lot more now, because, the rushing upside for these quarterbacks has just provided massive ceilings for these quarterbacks on a weekly basis. And the quarterback position is a bigger difference-making position than it's ever been. So we're probably going to want to go ahead and take a quarterback in round 7. Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson are all very good options. It becomes very slim after this at the quarterback position. So make sure to go ahead and grab one of these 3 guys in round 7 if you have not drafted a quarterback already. Moving on to round 8, the last round that I'm going to cover today in this video, we want to go ahead and focus on adding depth at the positions that we are slimmest at. So if you've gone with a robust running back strategy and you drafted a bunch of running backs early, you need to go ahead and start hammering the wide receiver button. Absolutely hammering the wide receiver button and making sure that you add a ton of depth at wide receiver, because you're probably a little bit slim at wide receiver up top because you decided to go with robust RB. But if you draft a ton of depth pieces at wide receiver, odds are 1 or 2 of those guys is going to end up breaking out and being your starting receiver at some point, or one of your starting receivers at some point. So go ahead and hammer the positions that you weren't hammering early. And if you went with a hero running back strategy and drafted a bunch of wide receivers early, obviously now we're going to want to start, hammering the running back position to add the depth pieces at running back, because we're probably a little bit thin at running back up top. So in round 8, the absolute key is to start adding depth. Depth is everything in fantasy. A good fantasy team cannot win without depth, because we know that we're going to have the inevitable injuries. We're going to have bye weeks. You have to have depth to win in fantasy. And so round 8 is the time to start targeting your depth pieces, especially the pieces that you weren't targeting early. So make sure to add the positions that you're slim at up top. And then the final part of round 8 is, I want you guys, if you haven't already and you feel like you want to go ahead and finish filling out your starting lineup, take David Njoku in this round. Please take David Njoku in round 8, because after David Njoku, it really gets very slim at the tight end position. So, if you feel like you want to draft a really good pass-catching tight end with some serious PPR upside, go ahead and take David Njoku. He definitely has that upside. He definitely has a pretty high weekly ceiling in the Browns offense with Deshaun Watson throwing the ball. So I really like David Njoku this coming year. And keep in mind that the tight end position after David Njoku goes off the board becomes very, very slim. So if you don't want to be in a bad situation, like you don't want to be handicapped at the tight end position, go ahead and take David Njoku at round 8, because round 8 is probably when you're going to have to take him. He's probably going to fly off the board somewhere around round 8 or round 9. And after that, the tight end position becomes very slim. All right. So guys, those are my advices for round 6, 7, and 8. I hope this video helped. Appreciate you guys. Catch you later.